Hey, what's going on? We just finished week 9 of our boot camp with General Assembly. This was group project week, and this is probably the end of the hardest part of the course. We'll now be heading into week 10, 11, and final week 12. And now that we have 3 projects on our resume and in our portfolio, I think we're all feeling pretty confident that we'll be able to finish the course and do so confidently. So to backtrack on week 9, group project week, I'll kind of talk about some things that made our group successful and why I think we were successful. And if you're watching this with the intent of doing the boot camp, a couple things that you may need to implement for your group success. So first and foremost, we spent about 3 or 4 hours actually looking over the topic and the requirements of the group project. And we wanted to make sure that we kept our scope really small. Since we are all relatively beginners still, the scope of our project was really important because we do have only a week to complete it. So we wanted to make sure that we could get a MVP, minimal viable product, done by Tuesday. So that would give us 3 days to work on features and bugs as well as testing. And because we were focused on doing that, I think that's what really helped us get our product done actually by Tuesday, and then we work on some additional features that really make our app better. We probably spent about 5 hours on Friday the week before last week hashing out our idea, and then we spent probably about 3 hours on Sunday finishing out the stuff that we all knew we could do really quickly, and that was for me and another partner in the group, user sign in, sign up, and log in, as well as the other 2. They were able to knock out the routing and working with Twilio's API. So let me backtrack a little bit. Our app this week was built on Ruby on Rails, and it was recommended that we used an external API for the project. We used Twilio. A few other groups use like Google Maps, maybe YouTube or something, D3, stuff like that. So again, we finished our product by Tuesday, and then we're able to work on a few things throughout the week. We also made sure to designate someone as the GitHub master first. That made our project a little easier because we had less merge conflicts, and the person most comfortable with Git and GitHub was our master. So therefore we could all pull our own branches and work on our features on our own, and then push up to the GitHub master, and then if there were any issues, he was able to handle it pretty well. But by now we were all pretty comfortable with GitHub and merge conflicts due to week 8's group project, so we're real thankful for that. We made sure with this project to really focus on stuff that we could do, and then spend the last day or 2 on stuff that we wanted to add that maybe we weren't as comfortable with. I think that's why we were able to push our MVP so early, is that we were able to complete all the stuff that we knew we could do, even though they were rather simple. That's user sign in, sign up, log in, authentication, some of the design and layout, the routes for our Ruby on Rails app. We wanted to ensure that that was 100% correct before moving forward, and we actually found some bugs on Tuesday that we were able to fix right away, and that helped us tremendously. As probably known, communication was really important with this project. This is something that's mentioned as soft skills within the industry that apparently, from what I hear, isn't that common. Well, with our group, we made sure to really communicate when we needed to push our branches up to the master, when we had merge conflicts, what each individual member was working on at the time, so that we knew which features were being done, and if there was any issues or anything that needed to be clarified, we were always together and we were all friendly with each other. It seemed like we actually had a really good group. We were able to hash out any difficulties or any problems right away. One of the requirements of this project was to deal with testing with RSpec for Ruby on Rails. That's something one of the guys in the group and myself did on Wednesday. We were able to do some testing in class. However, this was still really difficult as we weren't too comfortable with it. So we spent a lot of time dealing with it. We wanted to ensure that we had some good tests written for experience and the project as well. So we spent a good bit of time on that. Ideally, we could have done it first. Apparently that's the better way to go about doing it. However, in a 1-week environment for the app creation and our limited knowledge of testing, we wanted to make sure that we had a working app by Tuesday and then dealt with testing after that. On Thursday, with it being the last day essentially, on Friday we were pushing to Heroku and finishing up any bugs in the morning to present by 10 a.m. So Thursday was the last day to really work on any features or final touches for the project. And for us, that was the design and layout. We were all front-end oriented, so we had no difficulties dealing with the CSS and the layout and the design. Of course, it took some time, as it always does. However, that was something we were comfortable with and had experience with. So we were fine doing just that at the last minute. I actually recorded our group's presentation, and I'm going to show you that at the end of this video. The audio wasn't too great, so I'm going to add not necessarily some words at the bottom, but I'll throw in the ideas of what's going on in the presentation.
Elias, you're famous.
So we made Vote It with the intentions of an instructor having the ability to create a room like this.
Well, that's Elias.
And also have the ability to create buttons. So for instance, sometimes in this class, some people need a break and they're maybe not want to raise their hand and let the instructor know. So you want to go ahead and sign in. So we created an app where an instructor can create a button, and after a certain amount of clicks, they will receive a text message for the button that elicited that many clicks.
So you can create a room. Takes you. What's that? Oh, wait.
Do like 25.
Why didn't it work?
Because go back.
Our room's not working.
That's for me.
What's going on?
There it is.
Do WDI 25. This is a bug I noticed earlier.
Classroom page.
Shouldn't matter.
It doesn't like our class.
So here you go. Here you can set the condition of our button, as well as the votes. Mike, you want to talk about the time limit?
Yeah, so we did, it's hard coded for now, but you can do up to 30 votes and a time limit of up to 30 minutes. So if you were like, I don't know, like take a break, you didn't really know how the class was feeling, you might, there's a class of 30, say, okay, if half of them are cool with it, I'll give them 5 minutes, 10 minutes to decide. Got it. There it is. Owner can't vote on their own. So the other thing.
Yeah, so we created a long URL, a custom URL, so that when it's sent out to the students, other students and other WDIs can't mess with us. And hey, they need a break.
That suggestion came from Dell, where he was like, what we want to do is security and just kind of make it like unguessable and just generate a random URL so that random people can't come in, and then you can just share the link as you like.
And if I could guess, I vote on this.
Real time.
Same thing. If I wanted to add a button like library app. And once you vote on one like this,
wait, you guys using WebSockets?
no, it's just Ajax. Are you doing a set time now? Yeah. I'll show you that. So, and if you've already voted on a button, you're blocked. This is stored on your cookie. So you can actually, like, you could break this, you could go in and delete your cookie spread. But I can still vote on this one. And that will be updated down here as well. So that's at 14 now.
So we'll be able to show you, but after 15, it actually will send a text.
We can actually post it in Slack.
Yeah. Do you guys want to go and click on it? Yeah. Woo! So we incorporate the Twilio API into it, so that's how it's actually going to send your notification. You register with a phone number and your Twilio phone number as well.
Only vote on one though. Like for now.
Yeah, one click.
You can vote on either, but let's make sure one actually goes along. So I guess take a break. It doesn't matter.
Can you click over so we see it change?
Yeah.
Alright. Justin, you want to talk about the part you worked on? Like the delete part that you're so close.
Well, we kind of hit MVP like day one, so the rest of the week was fine tuning and just adding things and making things cleaner and nicer and to work like more efficiently, effectively. Like we added Ajax, a lot of work went up. Mike is our superstar, like first shout out.
A cool feature you might see is that the button changes color depending on the votes. And so, yeah, so it's like a status color as well. So that's actually a pretty cool feature.
did it? Okay. Let's just wait for the text to come.
Okay, so it hit 0.
So I just got my tags.
And Mike got a text.
Sorry, it's not very loud. It's not very yeah. I have it all the way up.
Oh man, it's like the best text that I've ever seen.
And yeah, it just comes from your Twilio account, and it
says,
tells
"Hey,
you
you're awesome.
tells you
You."
yeah.
Like, oh, this is a feature to make it a little bit cleaner so that you don't have to have like an expo. You can drag it, and then it goes back to its original position, and then let's say, like you can vote it, well, as the user, as the implementer, I can't vote it myself, but you can delete it, and then it's gone. Woo! Yes.
great. Tank, so many things going on right now.
Yeah, so tests suck. Writing tests can suck. What ended up happening was I was like testing validations and I got one chunk of code to fail and then work. And then I was like, awesome, let me just copy and paste this like 10 times and like change the validation every single time. And then I got to the point where I should have tested the controllers and their methods. And I was like, nah, it's cool. I reached 10. That's fine. But in the future, what I would like to do is, because validation, like validating presence of like attributes is actually pretty easy. And so I would like to go back in the future and you know, go through the code, like kind of like follow the logic of the methods, and just write out a bunch of tests and have them fail spectacularly, and then go through and solve them all over again. But yeah, the tests, once you figured one out, it was like super repetitive, very easy to just keep writing one after another.
Alright, mine's not too complicated, it's just this part right here. But essentially what it's doing is whenever you log out, if you then press the back button, a lot of times it'll cache and then go back and you're still logged in. So it's something that I was kind of told to do, like it was my part of the project and I was able to do it, so it's a small victories in life, but I don't know, I thought it was kind of cool and it works.
Can you talk about that?
Oh yeah. So it's essentially deleting the cache. I use Stack Overflow, so I can't tell you too much logic of it, but yeah, deletes all the cache from it.
Thanks.
So there's a method you can find called set cache buster.
Yeah. And then before the page loads it.
So you're changing some headers, and it looks like on every, I think we worked on this before on every, so before action, so if you go left of it, before action is actually inside, you're inside the application controller, so that's going to run every single, because every controller inherits from that, it's going to run every controller action ever.
Right.
So it'll always run this method, like basically modify.
Yeah, because we have log out on a couple pages, so I want to make sure it's correct.
So it doesn't cache anything then.
Right.
Like the entire site does not cache anything. It seems like it's like this is setting on every page. It sets a header that says don't cache anything.
Specific things.
Right.
For every page, so that
Right.
no page ever caches anything.
Right.
And no page ever caches something.
Specific headers that are made.
But yeah.
Are being reset.
Every page doesn't have some specific things. You can do like a before action only or accept, and then you can tweak it.
Well, what are those things that it only it doesn't cache which things?
The one that's overriding right now.
Okay.
And the more I do projects, the more I realize that the visual design aspect of it is like in itself an art form. And so it was very much like working on it up until like last night. I was like, I could style this thing for like weeks and like I still wouldn't be happy. And like that was like the thing that always gets me is like responsive styling, making like, you know, kind of like that less is more mentality is like sticking with me more and more. And like even this, like this took me like what ended up happening was I ended up using the Bootstrap grid system to do this, and it's not fully responsive. One of the circles decided to go like rogue, like renegade on me, and like the text started stacking underneath the circle and like pushing the row like height like more and more, and I didn't know what was going on. And like 3 TAs helped me debug it, and it was awesome. But yeah, I mean, like that's like the thing. I think next time, if I had the chance, I would definitely start the styling earlier. Like maybe even have it so that if like we finish a feature, like style it and then move on, or like at least like some simple styling so we can like have something like that.
I love your guys' copy. It's awesome.
That's okay.
Thank you.
That was week 9, and now on to week 10.